It doesn't matter. Does it? I don't know. Maybe. Oh. Hot dog. Mm. Right here. Right here. Hot dog. Anyway. Homelessness 2.0, day 57. Because it's not like anything's just going to automatically change just because I want it to, which sucks. More rum and coke and lime. Doesn't matter the fact that it's roughly 8:45 in the morning. Like I said before, what was it? Time is bullshit. Drink when you want. So, the plan today is, oh, let's do a quick. There's an option to switch. That's not what it is. That's not what I want either. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to switch. If I make that go away. Doesn't matter. Maybe I can't do all of it. I don't want to learn more. I just want you to go away. Oh, well, whatever. So, the stove is done. It's clean. And then, of course, the kitchen sink. Basically no dishes. I was going to use this to hold up the camera because I was going to do a recording instead of a live, but I said I could try out the live thing and see what happens. Now it's being used as the prop. So one way or another, it's being used that way. I'm just using the front camera this time instead. Final week here. I was going to do, so one thing that came to us, well, two surprises that happened in relative quick succession. Take a bite out of these. By the way, it's Bar S Hot Link, because why not give myself indigestion at the beginning of the day? And then, some stone ground mustard. And then on top of that, Dirty Dick's hot sauce. Because again, why not give myself indigestion at the beginning of the day? There are ways of countering that. Anyway, I gotta drop stuff off at storage today. That sauce is so damn good. Sweet. It's hot. Flavorful. But it's more sweet and hot than it is flavorful. The flavor is there, but it's just kind of overpowered by sweet heat. But it's still just so good. And the heat's a good heat. It ain't some pissant heat, that's for sure. But it's not so hot as to just like blow your face up. So like I said, I gotta go to the stores, drop some stuff off. I got a book that I got in the mail. I was gonna try to donate that book. It's boom, immune. I don't know why it has to be flipped. It's annoying. Why did cameras have to do this shit? It makes no sense to me. It's like you don't have to be a mirror. I get it to a degree that people would use a camera as a mirror, but you don't have to be a mirror all the time. You don't have to default. In fact, that shouldn't be the default. The default should be. Anyway, so it should just show what it's looking at instead of fucking flipped. It's so annoying. So I'm gonna take the immune book, my camera, which I never even opened, not once, Um, I gotta figure out a couple of other things because some stuff I'm not gonna take with me today, but I've got to. So like, I gotta figure out how much stuff I can stuff into my luggage that I'm gonna keep with me on the next move. Among other stuff that I've got to not take with me. And then figure out what I gotta take today and then what I gotta take on Thursday. Because Thursday is gonna be the whole I'm done. I gotta take whatever that isn't gonna come with me kind of thing. So so for instance, I'm gonna keep this with me. I'm gonna keep this with me. All the other utensils are going today. Wait. Boom. These are going because I won't need them. Same a can opener. And the reason for it is because this is to stab the hot dogs and eat the salads. This is to open up the hot dog package because there's another one that's not fully open. Now, I guess I could say I could use this one, but this is like my utility knife. This is the knife that, like, I don't even fold this for the most part. Generally because it just stays like this. I use it for opening boxes and shit. So generally I don't like using it to open food packages, but maybe I'll just do that instead. I don't know, we'll see. That way then I'll just have the one fork and that's it. And then I can have one paper, or not paper towel, oh man, that heat. Oh, anyway. Now I gotta blow my nose. Anywho, and then of course on Thursday I gotta probably take these back too, but we'll see. Anyway, I have to kind of like go in blind, just like I came in blind here, and then I can figure out what the next steps are when it comes to where we are staying. But yeah, I guess with the I could just keep a dish towel and then just wrap this up with it and come with me. He's like, I love these forks anyway. They're called Norks. Supposedly like a knife fork combo. So you'll notice how thin it is. It's really easy to cut with. It's scoopy like a spoon, but it's like it's not. I mean, obviously it's not a spoon. It doesn't work like a spoon for the most part. But I really like them. Built really solid. Nice and heavy, but at the same time, like not so heavy as to. They're not really well balanced. Like the balance is way back here instead of towards the front. But in a way, I like that because you're gonna have the food on the pointy end at some point, and that's gonna help create more force on that end. And so it basically just stays in my hand the whole time, which I like. It's like normally I like stuff that's super, balanced but like it is balanced. It's just the expectation of balance is different. That's all. And that expectation has changed my opinion about how I want it, which is cool, I guess. I'm gonna get my charger just in case because I don't want to die. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if the phone's gonna die or if it's just gonna overheat. I don't have the hotspot on. Might as well just have. Or you spin me right around. Ugh, stupid son. All right. So there's that. I gotta drop off some stuff today. And drop off most of my kitchen-related stuff. The spices that are up there, I'm not gonna use any of them today. I'm still using salt, but I can just dump some in here and then take that box of salt. I can do the same thing with my peppercorns and my pepper grinder. I even put a little bit of this in there. I've got an empty bottle. I need to, I'm almost done with this. A little bit of olive oil left over. I'm gonna have to wash that though. But yeah, so the plan today is go to storage, drop off some stuff, and then come back and do laundry. Um, and then but before I do any drop off, I've got to sort of semi pack and prep for when I actually do need to pack. And so I've got to effectively kind of put in some dirty laundry in there just to kind of get an idea of how much stuff I actually have. So I mean, I gotta clean this, the hoodie and the pants. So there's that. What else is there? Oh, that's right. I need to do the driving test. That is where the double surprise came into play. So I was looking for a driving test option and I couldn't find what I was looking for in the student portal. It was there, I just couldn't find it because I was looking for something that didn't exist, which was the price. So I was under the impression from when I looked at the website before, I had signed in and, became a student and all that stuff. I must have misattributed the price of one thing to another thing because the test price is the most expensive thing that I'll be paying for so far. Fuck. If you aren't a student and you're just paying for the test, you get like an hour driving session in first. Now, of course, I get it, but it's like $335 if you're not if you're not a prior student. You get an hour into practice, and they make the booking and everything. Drive yourself there pretty much. You get there, you do your test, and hopefully you don't fail. Now, California allows you, I think it's 3 tests to pass, but the driving school isn't necessarily going to do that for free. So, the last thing you want to do is go in there unprepared and then drop, another $280 or whatever, 335. And that's the thing too. It was oh shit. My phone is changing. I need to do something real quick. Where are you at? There you are. Just wondering what the hell that sound was. Jesus. Anybody who's ever lived with rodents understands that it never goes away. Just that anxiety, that fear, that PTSD, if you will. The cable that's plugged into the wall, there, hanging down, it was scraping up against the paper plate that I used to cook the dogs on. And because it wasn't just a constant scrape, it was like and it was because it was affected by my own chaos and my own sort of natural state. I thought there were rodents in the wall. Because it like just perception of space and all that stuff, it felt like it was like over here and not right there. I'm like, the fuck? So anyway, the full-on price is $335 for the one, the pickup, plus the booking and all that stuff, and you get to drive there and all that. And then if you're a student, it's $285. Well, the first 2 hour session was $210. The second one was like $180, but it is still cheaper technically than the 10 hours that they wanted me to use. It's like, it's a ridiculous amount. It's like, here, pay us $1,000 and then pay us yet another almost $300. Oh, this whole thing is just, it's too fucking expensive. But I get it. I mean, I haven't had actual driver training in 25 fucking years. I had 15 years of driving after the fact. So at the very least, the fact that while yes, I had some old habits that weren't necessarily the best, at least for the sake of taking a driver's test anyway. Because I never really liked backing out, for instance. And I think I mentioned it before. I had a collision at one point when I was younger. It wasn't a really bad collision. It was more bad on the other person's end. I was backing out of a spot it was a Best Buy, and there's like an SUV on one side of me and whatnot. So I'm like backing out a little bit, and then I full on back out because I'm like, I'm not really sure at the time. I was young. I didn't really understand like a lot of the implications, and this isn't something that was ever really taught to us. Um, but it really is better if you slowly back out of a parking spot. Um, because that will definitely give somebody, it be one, anybody who's observant will know that your car is moving back. Um, Now I ran into the person not only because I backed out faster than I guess was ideal, but also they sped up to pass. Um, and so the combination of those two actions is what caused the collision, which is why there's mutual liability and certain things like that. Now there wasn't any real damage. I don't even like I said, I was like 16 at the time. Well, no, I was a little older than that because I was living with my grandmother at the time, and I picked up that car because I had a total of 4 cars myself, one of which wasn't really mine. It was my grandmother's. So the first one was the Pontiac Sunbird 1986. Grandmother had gotten into a collision with that one that started getting passed around the family, and then I ended up with it. The second one, but I ended up with it later. The first sort of car that I ever had that was sort of mine, but not really, was the one that my grandmother purchased that I drove exclusively. And that was the one that I got in a collision with. Now, again, it wasn't really bad. Like, there was a mark along the side of the other person's car. And then I don't remember if there was anything that happened in my car. Because it was still a low speed collision, but it was like a reverse T-bone kind of thing, and her speed helped, if you will, mitigate the damage, I guess. Um, Still freaked me out because literally, ugh. Sorry about that. Literally the day of, I had been, I think, in my history class, and we were talking about stuff like this, and I had said that I had never been in a collision, and then I get into one. Um, but It's the only one I've ever been in. And anyway, I've been in I've been in accidents that were just me, that didn't really cause massive kinds of damage, like in the same car. And incidentally, uh, the two other collisions, if you want to call them that, it was lightly raining, and I was still pretty young. Um, and they both happened in similar cars. Go fig. Both of which did not have anti-lock brakes. But on the one, it was in that first car I was talking about, and there was this road that was in between where I was living in, like, other parts of town. Obviously, that's kind of how roads work, and it kind of weaved. It went, if you will, like that. at a point, and I was going a little too fast for the turn, for the weather, and so when I got into the turn, I started skidding, and I ended up spinning, going over the median, and ended up in the other fucking on the other side of the road. Now, fortunately, there was nobody else involved. In fact, I don't even think anybody else was on the road. Um, so chalk that one up to ignorance. I got better at driving. I'm sure of it because of it. One would hope. And I was like 19, maybe 20 at the time. And then a couple years later, I am now driving a different Pontiac um, Sunbird. It's the older one now. It's the one that my grandmother originally had. I ended up getting it from my mother, I believe. This car had so many damn problems. It was the one that I ended up driving back to Texas or across Texas, from East Texas, but back to Dallas, and like I had to keep my foot at a very specific spot because if it go too slow, I was too slow for the highway effectively, and if I was too fast, it would just violently shake the car. And so by the time I got back into Dallas, my foot just fucking hurt from being, stable in that one position, just static. Um, and I was going downhill, which in East Texas is not really much of a thing. It was one of the few places in East Texas that has hills, um, like in a town where it's been kind of developed. And it was raining again, and I know this for a fact. In the Air of the Night by Phil Collins was playing. Now I don't know at what point the song was, but I had again it was another speed thing. I was going a little too fast. Now I don't know how fast I think I was going or what my thought process was. I know I wasn't like going fast. I was just going too fast for the conditions. And this is why these things are important. Also why anti-lock brakes are great. And why having a car with no anti-lock brakes sucks. So I realize I'm going too fast and I try to start slowing down and I start pumping the brakes because that's what you have to do in an anti-lock brake system because that's what anti-lock brakes do is they pump the brakes for you. But not having had too much experience going downhill and it was a recent rain, as in like it hadn't been raining for a long time. It was a light rain and it had just technically started that day. So oil slicks and all that crap, they were still, just kind of emerging from the roads. And because of that, and because of my inexperience, and because, I wasn't too well trained in the car and all that crap, ended up going too fast down the hill, slammed into the curb. Like, not only did it blow my tire, it dented the rim. So I had to get a new rim and a new tire. Um, but being that it was this early 2000s, um, and East Texas, those two things were relatively cheap. Now, they were still not cheap for me because I was going to like a job that paid $5.15 an hour. Um, which was the style at the time. No, it was the minimum fucking wage at the time. Um, like people complaining that other people want more than a 7.25 minimum wage. I was making the minimum wage in 2003, which was like $5.15 fucking cents. Now, there's a reason why people are fighting for more. Because we need it. We, not just poor people, everyone. Everyone needs to get paid more. But especially the people at the bottom. The people who are not making enough money. The people who, it's like I said yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, I don't know, fuck. But I think it was yesterday. You know, you don't love capitalism, you have Stockholm syndrome. You're an indentured worker who has Stockholm syndrome. And more people, I mean, I even talked to the driver, the educator, the instructor. I was like, I hope they're paying you well, because if they're not, you better be looking for another job. Because I'm tired of not just my own circumstances, because it doesn't just affect only me. Because I'm not the only one who's experiencing something similar. There are other people who are also experiencing stuff like this. And of course, there is a fallback on me in a good, potentially anyway, good way, where if I help fight for others, it might come back to me as well. I'm aware of that. But it's not solely for me. Because if it was just solely for me, I wouldn't care about the other people. Which I think is one of the I think that's one of the things about the people who criticize this whole movement of trying to get more. It's like we feel like we deserve more, and not just us individually, but there are people out there who want to criticize it, thinking that we're just trying to manipulate it for ourselves, and that's projection. That's them saying, you're doing what I would do. You're going out there trying to manipulate people because that's how I would do it. I'm not saying that's me, I'm saying that's who the critics are. The critics are the ones who would try to manipulate because they don't think equality can be real. They don't think that's reality, they don't think that's natural. They think that there has to be a hierarchy, that there has to be, you know, lion and sheep, if you will, because this, or master and slave, hey, why not? Because, you know, we've only had a country founded on that shit. We can do better. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to improve my driving situation so that I can do better. Not only just in general for my own sake, but also, I mean, yeah, in that case, it's for me. But I mean, it's okay to be selfish about some things too. It's, you know, it's a balancing act. You know, if you're never allowed to be selfish, then what you've effectively done is taken away all the barriers. And having grown up, not having personal boundaries, doing everything for everybody else, that's a fucking miserable life. That is a life filled with people who will take advantage of you. I grew up being a person with virtually no personal boundaries. I now have a lot more personal boundaries. There's some walls that I built up in the process of it all that have created unintentional boundaries that, you know, if I try to just tear them down immediately, I'm going to feel vulnerable, and I don't want that. So I'm trying to chip away at it because I think we can all do better. And I think we can all do better for each other. And I think that there are people out there who don't want us criticizing the people at the top because they're in a position that's above. And that means if you can criticize the people above those, so okay, you have the people at the bottom, then you have the people at the top, and then there's people in the middle. All right. The people in the middle love to criticize the people who are at the bottom, who are trying to get the people at the top to change. Why? This is the king. This is not so much the king. This is the middle manager. And these are the peasants. This person is okay working for the king. If this person accepts that these people can criticize the king, that means that if the king is deposed, they might be at the top, and then they might be in a position to get deposed, and they don't want that. They don't want to lose whatever power they happen to have, which is why they don't want to hear about politics, which is why they're always going to contradict you, which is why they're going to try to gotchas, which is why they're always going to try to get you to paint yourself into a corner or something like that. The fact of the matter is, the average person in America ain't doing that well. Now, it depends on what you consider average as well. Mean, median, mode, statistics. Let's get the box and whisker plots. Let's look at standard deviations. Let's look at the medians. Let's look at the range. Let's look at the outliers. Let's look at the numbers. Why not? But I would say if you want to say average, if you took a random sampling of 100 people from various places, most of the people that you talk to are not doing great. That's a guess, but it seems like that's the case. And then that 100 may not be an appropriate sample for some places. If you take 100 people out of LA versus 100 people in, what the hell is it? Shit. I don't remember where the hell Hank Green is based at right now. I was trying to think of where he's at in Montana. But the whole damn state of Montana, I think, has fewer people than the entirety of LA. So, that in and of itself. So 100 people isn't exactly representative either. But people should not have to deal with being in a situation like I'm in. Going back to the other surprise, I go back and I look at my bank account to try to pay for the $285 for the 1 hour plus driving test. And I got like $295 in my checking and I have $100 in my savings. So now it's all drawing money. Now I've gotten to that point where all the money I'm going to be pulling is going to be from the mutual fund. Now I have $2,500 that's coming in, but that's going to get eaten up real quick by the next Airbnb. And the next one, once that money drops, I'm just going to go ahead and book it if I can. Because it's like, I want to say it was like $1,800. It's a slightly, at least it seems like slightly smaller place than this. I'll have to figure out the whole washer dryer kind of situation because I don't think there is one at the place, but I can find out. So that's something that's on my mind. Once the money drops, then I can pay for the driving lesson plus test. And then hopefully I'll pass the test because then that means that during the next month, ideally, driver's license should show up. Problem is that they'll have to figure out when it gets there because they don't tell you when you get mail in the box. If you get a package, they tell you, but not when you get mail in the box. So there's that. So going back to the beginning of this, most of the dishes are done. All of the stuff that I'm going to pack up is clean. Well, dish-wise anyways. And then I'm going to take the desk that's out here. I'm going to bring it back in here so that I can sort of properly clean the room, the living room itself. Shit. I did what I could to avoid scratches to this fucking thing, and still, there's scratches all over it. How the hell did that happen? Oh, I feel bad. Sucks. Anyway, I used this like all the time. The only thing that I may have used that could have caused those scratches was this. It shouldn't though, it's plastic. It's whatever. I don't know. I feel bad looking at it though. It's like, fuck, man. 'Cause those things aren't cheap. They're like 40 or 50 bucks at least. I just hope that doesn't get go up against the. How about I get charged for anything? That would suck. Because I'm running out of money now. And then once I get my driver's license, I don't know when what the situation will be with regards to getting a car. So that's something that'll have to happen in the future at some point. But it's whatever. So yeah, I feel warm even though it's like 10 degrees Celsius outside right now. Which, for just a quick mental arithmetic thing, so that you don't have to like blow your brain every time you're thinking about Celsius. It's not precise. Let's get that out of the way. It's not precise, but it's close. Take whatever temperature in Celsius that it is, multiply it by 2, add 30. Because the real equation is take the temperature, multiply it by 1.9, add 32. Ain't nobody doing that in brain. That's the precise method, but that is not quick and easy for the brain. But it is quick and easy for the brain to say, what's 7 times 2, then add 30? What's 14? 44 degrees. So it's approximately 44 degrees. It's not 44 degrees, but it's really close. When it's 30 degrees outside, that's approximately 90, 30 degrees Celsius. So anyway, it's cold, but it's nice and toasty in here. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to relax for a little bit, and then I'm going to start packing stuff. So I'm going to have to figure out how to turn this fucker off because I haven't had to do it before. This is literally the first time I've ever done this, so let's see what happens. Do you want to stop? Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay. Have fun.